Patrol Log Extract, Unit 12K, compiled retrospectively from recovered bodycam audio and partial written notes. All timestamps preserved as found. Gaps indicate data corruption or missing segments. 22 hours, 14 minutes, and 7 seconds, Officer Mallory reports entering Sector C of the Riverside Industrial Annex after receiving third anonymous call regarding movement inside the locked base. Facility officially decommissioned in 2016. Utilities disconnected, perimeter fencing intact though visibly weathered. Mallory notes faint metallic smell upon approach, likened to old coolant or overheated wiring. Wind negligible. Temperature dropping faster than forecast. 22 hours, 18 minutes, and 42 seconds, bodycam captures door to bay 3 partially ajar despite original weld seals appearing unbroken. Mallory documents this verbally, adding that the door feels warm on the inside, though ambient temperature reads 6 degrees Celsius. Light from camera illuminator reflects strangely on the floor, as if surface has a thin sheen, though no moisture is visible. 22 hours, 19 minutes, and 10 seconds, officer radios dispatch requesting secondary unit for cross-check, but signal degrades mid-transmission, producing low-frequency hum. Mallory repeats request. The hum persists, described later by tech analysts as not typical RF interference. 22 hours, 20 minutes, and 33 seconds, entry into Bay 3. Initial sweep finds no subjects. Walls marked with what appear to be inspection notes and inventory codes, though none match archive facility records. Font consistent with industrial stencils, but paint looks fresh despite years of abandonment. A single set of footprints, boot size approximately 10, leads deeper into the service corridor. Footprints appear dry, edges sharply defined. 22 hours, 23 minutes, and 1 second, bodycam picks up intermittent tapping noise ahead, rhythm inconsistent with machinery. Mallory pauses to note, air feels heavier, like pressure shift. Officer breathes audibly faster. Mic captures subtle clicking in the background, direction indeterminate. 22 hours, 25 minutes, and 44 seconds, corridor ends at locked maintenance door, labeled SL. 2. A designation absent from all structural maps. Lock shows no tampering. Mallory attempts handle. Camera glitches momentarily, creating doubled silhouettes on frame edges. Officer steps back, reporting echo not matching my movements. Audio analysis confirms slight delay in ambient reverb uncharacteristic for spatial layout. 22 hours, 27 minutes, and 30 seconds, Mallory follows side branch hallway after hearing what is described as footsteps retreating but with no weight to them. Floor dust remains undisturbed. Light flickers. Bodycam colors desaturate for several seconds before normalizing. 22 hours, 29 minutes, and 58 seconds, officer discovers maintenance clipboard lying face down, dated March 14th, 24, though facility has had no staff for 8 years. Paper intact, corners crisp, handwriting steady. Last entry reads, only. Shift extension authorized. Maintain presence until relief arrives. No signatures. Mallory remarks softly. Feels like someone left it minutes ago. 22 hours, 31 minutes, and 40 seconds, low scraping, sound approaches from deeper within structure. Mallory steadies flashlight. Beam bends slightly near far wall, as if refracted through heat haze despite cold environment. Officer documents faint vibration underfoot, matching neither HVAC nor passing rail traffic. 22 hours, 33 minutes, and 12 seconds, radio emits brief burst of distorted speech. Single intelligible phrase captured. Not alone, down, followed by static and metallic creak resembling hinges under strain. Mallory attempts contact again, but receives only the hum heard earlier, now louder, fluctuating between 42 to 57 hertz. 22 hours, 34 minutes, and 55 seconds, officer positions camera toward an intersecting corridor. Shadows move against the far wall, though no visible source of motion is detected. Mallory notes, shape doesn't track with my angle before stepping closer. Camera blur intensifies as if autofocus is bypassed. 22 hours, 36 minutes, and 22 seconds, last complete verbal entry before recording artifacts increase. Something's off. Feels like the place is breathing with me. Half a second late. Heart rate monitor peaks. 22 hours, 37 minutes, and 4 seconds, video distorts, producing smearing effect consistent with magnetic disruption. A faint outline, possibly human, possibly reflection, appears at end of corridor, stationary. Mallory approaches slowly, calling out once. Outline does not respond, but seems to shift when the flashlight moves. Not in sync, but fractionally behind, like replaying a moment slightly delayed. 22 hours, 37 minutes, and 58 seconds, officer's final intact note. Object ahead shows no heat signature. Not a person. Not sure what I'm looking at. Following this, bodycam freezes for 4.2 seconds, resumes with heavy static, and all subsequent timestamps desync. The log ends with a final unparsed murmur, possibly environmental, possibly vocal. Stay on shift. Supplemental reconstruction, compiled from Unit 12K auxiliary notes, internal memos, and secondary interviews conducted post-incident. Chronology approximate due to fragmented data, emotional inconsistencies in statements, and unreconciled timestamp drift on recovered devices. 23 hours, 2 minutes, and 11 seconds, Officer Alvarez, assigned as Mallory's relief, reports initial unease upon reviewing the earlier transmission logs. States that Mallory didn't sound spooked, just detached, like he was listening to something off mic. Dispatch supervisor notes similar tone during the last received message, but attributes it to fatigue. Alvarez later amends statement, adding that it felt like someone else was in the room with him, though the recording captured no second voice. 23 hours, 7 minutes, and 54 seconds, body cam from Alvarez's unit shows him preparing gear slower than standard protocol. When questioned, he claims he felt delayed, like I was moving at someone else's pace, not mine. Forensic analysis of the footage supports this. Micro-movements appear fractionally out of sync with audio input, a discrepancy not caused by hardware limitations. 23 hours, 14 minutes, and 22 seconds, internal memo from Sergeant Heron regarding Officer Bennett, who reviewed the Mallory footage first. Bennett displayed heightened irritability, snapping at colleagues during routine check-ins. Heron writes, he kept rubbing his jaw like it hurt, but med forms clear. Said the video felt wrong, like Mallory was looking past whoever was watching. Bennett requested reassignment 30 minutes later, citing light sensitivity and head pressure, both symptoms uncharacteristic. 23 hours, 19 minutes, and 46 seconds interview with civilian witness, loader from adjacent depot. Claims to have seen 2 officers entering Bay 3, though only Mallory was present at that time. When pressed, witness could not describe the second person's face, only stating, he walked like he was thinking about someone else's footsteps. Statement dismissed initially, later reclassified as contextually relevant. 23 hours, 22 minutes, and 13 seconds, supplemental note, recovered from Mallory's patrol vehicle. Handwriting confirmed as his, though shakier than usual. Reads, if they send someone in after me, tell them not to match their breathing with the hall. Keep your own rhythm. Officers familiar with Mallory report he was methodical, rarely prone to metaphor. 23 hours, 27 minutes, and 48 seconds, behavioral log from Alvarez's advance into Riverside Annex. He pauses repeatedly, touching comms earpiece despite no incoming radio traffic. Later states, he kept hearing something like my own voice rehearsing what I was about to say. Psychological evaluator marks this as stress response, though frequency of gesture exceeds documented baselines. 23 hours, 31 minutes, and 15 seconds extract from dispatch audio. Bennett, still on duty at this time, attempts to contact Alvarez but misidentifies him twice, using Mallory's call sign once and an unknown identifier the second time. When corrected, Bennett insists he saw the tag differently for a moment, like the name had been crossed out and rewritten. Incident logged as fatigue-related, but reopened during review. 23 hours, 34 minutes, and 2 seconds Alvarez reaches Corridor Junction, where Mallory's last intact footage terminated. His body cam captures faint breathing, sounds though his own respiration is shallow and controlled. Audio triangulation places the source behind him, but thermal imaging records nothing. Alvarez rotates slowly, jaw clenching an identical pattern previously noted in Bennett. Gesture correlation flagged, but explanation inconclusive. 23 hours, 36 minutes, and 51 seconds partial entry from Alvarez's field notebook, torn at the edges and found near the bay exit. Text reads, "Feels like someone waiting for me to notice them. Don't know if it's Mallory. Don't know if I want it to be." Officers reviewing this note describe it as uncharacteristically personal. Alvarez typically writes only procedural details. 23 hours, 40 minutes, and 22 seconds civilian security cam from depot exterior captures reflection of Alvarez exiting Bay 3, but reflection walks 2 steps behind his real movement. Glitch analysis inconclusive. Camera otherwise functional before and after event. Frame-by-frame review indicates reflected figure's posture subtly different, shoulders slightly slouched, head tilted, as if listening. 23 hours, 42 minutes, and 19 seconds dispatch receives distorted message, content partially intelligible. Keeping the shift, stay aligned, don't let it borrow your steps. Voice resembles Mallory's but pitch slightly higher, cadence unfamiliar. Alvarez claims no knowledge of sending it. 23 hours, 44 minutes, and 53 seconds final note in this sequence. Sergeant Heron's assessment written after reviewing all materials. Officers exhibit mirrored behavioral shifts. Hesitation, misaligned speech patterns, difficulty identifying each other, and recurring descriptions of being paced by unseen presence. Not panic, more like their sense of self is being crowded. Statement ends abruptly with unfinished line. Recommend pulling all units until we understand why there. No continuation found. Critical incident reconstruction. Assembled from corrupted bodycam streams, hallway sensor bleed-throughs, emergency dispatch fragments, and handwritten materials recovered within the Riverside Annex sequence represents best fit alignment. Audio and visual desynchronization increases exponentially after 11 minutes and 30 seconds. 3 minutes and 12 seconds Alvarez's breathing accelerates, though physical telemetry lists him as stationary. Bodycam visuals smear horizontally, duplicating his silhouette into thin translucent bands trailing half a second behind. Alvarez whispers something too faint for transcription. Spectral analysis shows the whisper is echoed by a second, near-identical voice lagging 3 frames later, matching Mallory's vocal profile, but with irregular cadence. 0:04 and 55 seconds, a metallic groan reverberates through the corridor network. Structural engineers later confirm no load-bearing sections exist near the sound origin point. Alvarez pans camera left. For 0.7 second, the figure is visible at end of hall, posture identical to his own, head angled, shoulder incline, but facing away instead of toward the camera. Alvarez does not react to the sight directly. Instead, he mutters, "Stop following," though no one is behind him. 6 minutes and 40 seconds dispatch attempt contact. Radio captures only a fragmented response from Alvarez, tone flat. "Not me." "Not exactly." Immediately afterward, his body cam feed duplicates into two overlapping frames, one showing his current position, the other displaced by approximately 2 meters, as if a second version of him occupies adjacent space. Both frames blink out of sync. 7 minutes and 22 seconds environmental sensors inside bay 3 activate despite inactive power grid. Logs show abrupt spike in pressure, then sharp drop, creating oscillation that mimics slow inhalation. The hallway lights dim rhythmically, matching the pulse. In the fog reflection of a conduit panel, Alvarez's movement lags behind his reflection now. Reflection steps forward while he remains still. 8 minutes and 19 seconds, unidentified voice captured faintly on audio. Stay on shift. Forensic voice matching suggests 63% similarity to Mallory, 41% to Alvarez, an impossible overlap. Background noise includes steady tapping inconsistent with human gait, described by analysts as like someone practicing footsteps before using them. 9 minutes and 3 seconds, Alvarez rounds corner toward SL. Two-door. Door now wide open despite prior recordings showing it sealed. Bodycam distortion peaks. Lens flare appears in perfect geometric arcs. Unnatural. Uniform, as if imposed rather than caused by light. Inside doorway, blurred outline of a person stands rigid. Thermal shows no heat. Movement analysis indicates micro-adjustments consistent, with someone mimicking breathing patterns without actual respiration. 9 minutes and 58 seconds, Alvarez says softly, "Don't take my pace." His hand shakes, not from fear, but as though resisting involuntary motion. Camera captures his fingers beginning to mirror the subtle twitching of the outline deeper in the room. 11 minutes and 14 seconds, audio anomaly. Double voice statement from unknown source. Relief has arrived. Alvarez responds instinctively. "I'm not done," though context of his statement unclear. Heart rate telemetry splits, recording 2 conflicting pulse rhythms simultaneously. 11 minutes and 30 seconds, corridor behind Alvarez darkens unnaturally, described by analysts as subtracting luminance rather than reducing it. A shape emerges, humanoid, but flickering between postures, each one an imperfect imitation of Mallory's body language pulled from earlier logs. For 1.3 seconds, the shape aligns perfectly with Alvarez's stance, creating overlapping silhouettes. 12 minutes and 6 seconds, Alvarez attempts retreat, but motion lags. His limbs move with noticeable delay, as if his body is syncing to an external rhythm. Reflection in nearby pipe shows him turning right, while actual footage shows him turning left. 12 minutes and 50 seconds, dispatch receives partial signal. It's learning, followed by high-frequency screech resembling accelerated breathing. Analysts confirm screech contains modulated fragments of both officers' voices layered mathematically, not organically. 13 minutes and 27 seconds, Alvarez confronts primary outline inside SL, 2-chamber. Outline advances in sudden, jarring increments. Snap positions rather than fluid steps, each shift preceded by slight echo of Alvarez's own intended movements. Chamber walls recorded contracting subtly, not physically but visually, like the footage itself is breathing. 14 minutes and 3 seconds, final intelligible statement from Alvarez before total feed collapse. "It's waiting for me to finish my shift so it can start its own." Immediately after, bodycam displays 2 Alvarez figures side by side, one breathing rapidly, one perfectly still. The still version tilts head in a slow, unnatural arc inconsistent with human cervical motion. 14 minutes and 22 seconds, all video feeds distort into complete signal inversion. Last audio element recorded is a synchronized exhale, source indeterminate, possibly more than 2 voices. All monitoring equipment resets simultaneously. No personnel observed exiting Bay 3 on any functioning camera. Subsequent internal review marks incident as active unresolved anomaly. Officer identities unstable. Environmental mimicry probable. Post-event synthesis. Compiled from final forensic summaries, facility sweep reports, psychological debrief fragments, and a last intact administrative correspondence before Riverside Annex was formally sealed. Chronology uncertain. Numerous files appear to overwrite each other as though repeatedly resaved under identical timestamps. 4 hours, 12 minutes, and 44 seconds initial recovery team enters Bay 3 under directive to locate officers Mallory and Alvarez. Team reports immediate onset of disorientation. Difficulty maintaining formation, inconsistent shadows not matching personnel count, and intermittent sensation of anticipatory footsteps trailing behind them. Environmental readings show corridors cycling between negative and positive pressure despite no operational ventilation. 2 officers independently note that their own radio checks seem to echo back with slight delay, repeating phrasing they had not yet spoken aloud. 4 hours, 19 minutes, and 30 seconds maintenance door SL, 2 now closed and cold to touch. Attempts to breach halted after team leader observes faint outline behind surface, matching Alvarez's last recorded stance. Infrared shows no heat signature, but does display rhythmic distortion as if the metal is responding to internal movements. Commander orders no contact. 4 hours, 23 minutes, and 18 seconds, secondary team, reviewing exterior depot footage, discovers anomalies in recorded reflections similar to those in earlier logs. Personnel appear duplicated at intervals of 2 to 4 frames, with secondary figures exhibiting earlier posture states. Experts later conclude the distortions are non-optical and non-digital, suggesting superimposition from an unknown environmental source rather than camera malfunction. 4 hours, 26 minutes, and 55 seconds, personal belongings of both missing officers located in hallway. Mallory's pen light, Alvarez's field notebook, and a torn sleeve from standard issue jacket with name tags scraped nearly clean. DNA swabs inconclusive. Samples contain trace genetic material from both officers mixed with unidentified elements marked as incomplete human analog. 4 hours, 30 minutes, and 12-second dispatch. Supervisor Heron submits final internal statement before medical leave. Notes that audio logs from Mallory and Alvarez began responding during playback review, inserting subtle rhythmic noises at points of silence. Heron asserts the sounds were attempts at pacing, matching human breath intervals. Mental health assessment deems supervisor temporarily unfit for duty. Evaluator remarks that Heron ended consultation repeating phrase, "stay on shift," without awareness. 4 hours, 38 minutes, and 27 seconds following structural team arrival. Bay 3 is scanned with multilayer LiDAR. Results reveal non-Euclidean mapping. Corridors appear to fold into themselves, creating mirrored pathways that should not physically exist. Recorded geometry matches photographic evidence, but not ground-level measurement. External consultants determine this effect is limited to imagery alone. Physical space remains stable. Researchers classify anomaly as localized perceptual overwrite. 4 hours, 43 minutes, and 51 seconds last unopened locker in the annex, found containing degraded storage drives. Data extraction yields short audio loop. Breathing, 2 separate rhythms initially, gradually merging into one. Loop ends with faint phrase whispered twice, once at normal pitch, once with higher harmonic layer. Not alone. Never alone. Attempt to trace original speaker fails. Waveform contains characteristics of Mallory's voice blended with unidentified second source. 4 hours, 50 minutes, and 10 seconds final investigative summary, drafted by Interim Command, identifies probable mechanism behind events as behavioral echo propagation, described as environmental mimicry of human presence that becomes increasingly accurate the longer a subject remains within range. Reports suggest the phenomenon does not create independent entities in traditional sense, but constructs parallel responses using observed officer patterns. Conclusion states that prolonged exposure may result in identity drift, where the environment's mimic becomes more synchronous with subject than subject with themselves. Summary ends with recommendation for immediate site quarantine and refusal to authorize further entries. 4 hours, 53 minutes, and 29 seconds, incident closes with sealed directive from District Command. Riverside Annex designated as controlled zone. All equipment inside left in place. Access revoked indefinitely. Order includes note handwritten in margin. Analyst unknown. If the place copies us to fill its shifts, do not give it anyone else to learn from. 4 hours, 59 minutes, and 2 seconds last. Discovered recording is partial bodycam feed, recovered from compromised storage. No metadata. Visual shows empty corridor, slowly brightening despite lack of power. Audio contains overlapping footstep patterns, 4 distinct sets, 2 matching Mallory and Alvarez's known gate frequencies, 2 slightly delayed. A final whisper overlays the sound, impossible to match to any officer but closely aligned with previous mimicry. Relief accepted. Recording ends abruptly with single exhale. No further data recovered.